Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Live Recruiting Show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live 103. Dadgummit. Today is Wednesday, December the 18th. For you, it is Tuesday evening, December the 17th. For us, keep that in mind moving forward. If we slip up with any today's, tomorrow's, or yesterday's, we're actually going to try to get this out as soon as possible because, as we have all learned and know, days are hours and minutes in the transfer portal with all the action going on. So we're going to try to get this out ASAP. But keep that in mind. It's Tuesday evening. Everything that we talk about tonight is as of this moment, as of airtime, which is about 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to talk transfer portal, and more transfer portal tonight. We're going to dish out a couple of how batches. Maybe. Actually, we are. I don't know we are. Here with me, as always, Mr. Cole Pinkston, Sir Alan Head. How about you, fellas?
How about you?
How about you, boys?
How about you, brother? Look, my microphone's back tonight. I know everybody was interested in the lisp that I had shooting that off my iPhone the other night. I promise you I haven't gone.
Is that Alan Head or Lou Holtz?
I know, dude. I know. You got me dirty on that one for sure.
Yeah, Sir Alan Head to you. All right, before we get into the transfer portal, of which we have many details to share, we want to get back to HelloFresh real quick, man. Been rocking it out with HelloFresh. If you haven't, you're missing out. What is HelloFresh? If you're not familiar with it, it's farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip those trips to the grocery store. Count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy. Everybody hates the holidays, right? Well, HelloFresh can make it a little bit easy. Always looking for ways to make it less stressful. HelloFresh makes mealtime manageable, saving you from searching for recipes or all that grocery shopping. Just pick your meals, and everything you need is delivered right to your door. There's always something for everyone to enjoy on HelloFresh's weekly menu, with 50 chef-crafted recipes to choose from every week, plus customizing options to make your meal just the way you like them. You'll be able to easily satisfy every freaking craving. Always share my favorites, man. Cole has some. We all do. We all like HelloFresh. One-pan turkey stir-fry tacos, fantastic. One-pot chicken sausage and bean soup. I got them one-pot Mexicali black bean soup. All good stuff, man. And for right now, you get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free Auburn Live. That's applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/free Auburn Live. All lowercase, all one word, free Auburn Live. Appreciate HelloFresh.
You get to pick your meals every week on HelloFresh. I always put the pork and pepper enchiladas in there.
Ooh,
and then by probably the 4th or 5th time, I didn't need the sheet anymore. I remembered how to cook it.
Oh, really?
I knew every step. Like I could do it right now if I had the right ingredients. But
look at you.
That's a good meal. That is a good meal.
I mean, I learned like a lot of like little cooking techniques from making HelloFresh boxes.
Oh,
which is really cool. Yeah.
Let's see. All right, let's get to the portal as it stands right now. Zach, I'm going to be sharing some pages. I know you're probably got stuff to do, but I'll do it real quick. Share screen. Let's go to the portal team rankings, which is this one right here. Auburn currently sits at number 3 in the country. I tell you what, Ole Miss and Texas Tech, they're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah.
One guy even told me yesterday on Monday, people are underestimating Texas Tech in their war chest. They might have a top 5 portal they're war chest, and you're seeing the results. Texas Tech has been flip-flopping back and forth between Auburn, Ole Miss, and Texas Tech. Those 3 schools are really tearing it up in the transfer portal. Fortunately, we cover one of them, the Auburn Tigers. All right, we're going to move to what Auburn has right now.
I'll be honest with you. We know the criteria for rankings in high school. We know exactly what they're looking for in the rankings, why they do it, how they do it. With transfer portal, I don't really know, man. I'm not sure what the goal is with some of them.
Well,
it's tough.
It's really hard to kind of project a guy in one place and then how he's going to project in another, right? I mean, transitive property is not always a sure thing. And
it seems like they value youth, like years to play. They seem to value
ceilings.
Well, I think they go back into their eval ranking, right? Like when you see a guy like Walker White, what have you seen from him on college tape to give you a 4-star ranking as a transfer?
Right.
And I think they're leaning heavy into how they scouted him as a high schooler, thinking, okay, he's been a year in a college strength and conditioning program, and underneath Hugh Freeze's tutelage, he's probably retained a certain amount of credibility there, and we still think he's got a high upside. So you're right, Cole. I think it's a heavy projection on those guys. But it is interesting to me how they grade some of the small school guys too. I mean, you think about the Strader kid from Miami of Ohio. I love what I see on tape from that kid, and I feel like he is a 4-star. So
he was a freshman All-American.
Freshman All-American. Granted, look, level of competition, right? You have to account for that. But you're talking about a kid, I think, that started 23 out of 24 games that he's been eligible to play in.
Good.
I think he's very good, and he's got an opportunity to pressure 2 starting corners returning this year. So the rankings are definitely interesting. I kind of get where they're coming from. I do hate, though, that they lean into the high school part of it. This is not me taking a shot at Charles Power. I think they're protecting themselves somewhat too, right? That I knew what I was doing the first time around, and so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Let's see. Auburn's top 3 transfer portal acquisitions so far: quarterback Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma. He's a huge addition for Auburn. Darrell Robinson, the running back from UConn, and Xavier Chaplin. All 3 of those guys. Xavier Chaplin is from Vatech, 2-year starter there at left tackle. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. Darrell Robinson has 3 years of eligibility left, and Jackson Arnold has 2 years of eligibility left. Some of the other more notable additions here recently: Mason Murphy, the right tackle, we presume, from USC. Tay Seymour, defensive back from Georgia Tech and best friends with Eric Singleton. Ashton Daniels, a 3-year starter at Stanford. Fantastic addition there. You've got Ashton Daniels, you've got Jackson Arnold, you've got Deuce Knight coming in. The thing I liked about Ashton Daniels is that he's only got 1 year left. He's a fantastic young man from a fantastic family, and he knows what's at stake. He's fine with it. You know, if he's not now here, and I posted this on the corner. He will not be in Auburn until the summer, which means Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight will be your only 2, as of today, your only 2 scholarship quarterbacks in the spring, which you could look at it one of 2 ways. Wow, yikes. Or, man, those guys are going to be getting reps. Deuce Knight, true freshman, going to be getting really meaningful reps with meaningful support personnel.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic. I think it works out really well. Ashton's really smart. He knows how offense. So I'm looking forward to him. Hudson Cack, the punter from OK State. And then Rayon Strader, we talked about earlier, from Maryland. No, Miami, Ohio.
Miami, Ohio. Talk about that one a little more, probably. It needs to be talked about. That's a big addition. Kind of slid under the radar. Rayon Strader.
Yes.
Kind of slid under the radar, but that is a big addition. And listen, I'll go against the grain on Ashton Daniels now. I've watched enough of his tape to the point where I think, look, if you end up with him in a game, I think you're okay. I think you got a chance. As much of a chance as you had this year in winning games. I think you got the same a chance with Ashton Daniels.
I think he's better than Peyton Thorne.
Well, he definitely is a long stride runner with really good speed.
I was watch his highlights.
I've watched him. I'm not going to go on record as saying he's better than Peyton, but I like what you see. If this is your number 2, right? Do you remember those years when Gus would bring in somebody like from Akron,
Grant Loy, Cord Sandberg?
Yes, the team dad, Cord Sandberg. Yes.
Yeah.
No, Ashton Daniels is a legitimate player, and I would put him in the same bucket as Peyton Thorne. And if that's your number 2, you have to feel really good. If you get an injury to your number 1, if you get an injury to Jackson Arnold, you've got a guy that can go in and not only be a game manager, but win you a game if he needs to. He can do it with his legs. And you're right, Jeffrey. He's got a better arm than advertised. He can absolutely push it down the field.
Well, he's totally different than Peyton Thorne. This is a runner right here, man. A very instinctive runner. He's good at carrying the football. I guess you would say kind of like a Robbie Ashford, but I think he's got better. I think he's a better passer than Robbie Ashford. He is a little inconsistent when it comes to that as a passer. If he were more consistent as a passer, I think he'd be a lot hotter commodity in the portal, and it would have been a lot harder for Auburn to get him in at this position. So that's the only thing. Look, it's as far as the talent goes, I think it's there, man. I really do.
My ads over here. I'm glad I've been shopping for house shoes. And leather jackets. No, that's not me, big dog. Zoom to groom, not happening. Let's see. So the quarterback position, how are y'all feeling about that with Jackson Arnold,
Great.
Deuce Knight,
Well, the best
Ashton
thing
Daniels?
the best thing you can do with Deuce Knight is throw him in the fire immediately. And with a young guy like that, it's hard to find the fire to throw him into sometimes. But he's going to be right in it in the spring. He's going to get those valuable reps, like you pointed out. That's great. That's a great thing.
And here's the other thing that I don't believe we're talking about right now, but probably should. If you need an emergency fourth quarterback, you have Sam Jackson there that you can absolutely give snaps to. So you've got somebody with a lot of Power 4 experience as a quarterback at both TCU and Cal. Now, I think he's bought into being a receiver, but it's not beyond him to switch back. And he probably would do it for the betterment of the team if it meant that, like, hey, you've gone down 3 quarterbacks, I can get in there and take snaps. So you're not lost. You do have 4 arms on that team. It's not an ideal situation if you get down to that point, but you do have it in your arsenal if you're Hugh Freeze. So I like the quarterback situation, and I think you're going to continue to – you've talked about this, Jeffrey, but you're going to continue to see more 3 quarterback rooms by comparison to 4 quarterback rooms. Price point, right? Think about how much you're investing in your quarterback and how much can you put into that position and still have enough to fund the rest of your team. 2, it's just a transient position. You can only play one at a time, right? And so guys are going to get impatient and they're going to jump into the portal, and it's just the way it works.
Looking at the guys on the board on the transfer portal target tracker, we talked about Jackson Arnold, Ashton Daniels. Looks like Auburn's good to go there at quarterback, although there's that 4th spot that they will fill. I don't think they're going to be rushed to fill that spot. Maybe look in the spring window, although it wouldn't surprise me. But they're not losing their minds on trying to fill that last spot at quarterback. We feel really good about the running back position with Darrell Robinson coming in. We talked about Alan did about the layered depth at the running back position. Thought he's a big back. He's really good for what Auburn was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the this might be a little interesting theory for you. It's gonna be a little different than what you maybe heard here. I think he fits in pretty good with Jeremiah Cobb, Damari Austin. I don't think Darrell Robinson is leaps and bounds above those two. Like, I don't think he's taken every single rep as the main guy. I think it'll be a rotation by committee kind of deal.
Yeah.
He brings in that heavy punch with a little bit of that one cut ability, get open, get in space. He's got a good skill set, but he's a heavy back too, so that's cool. I kind of like the idea of Hugh Freeze not mentally having to have a workhorse running back where it's like, all right, I got to look down at my sheet and go, oh, well, haven't given it to Hunter in a while. Like, do you almost think that kind of held him back a little bit as a play caller where he's having to worry about that? It's almost like he gets in trouble if he doesn't give Hunter enough carries in the game. It's just something
he's got boxes to check off, like getting Malcolm Simmons X amount of touches, getting Cam Coleman X amount of touches.
Yeah, see, I don't like being in that mode. I feel like as a play caller, you don't want to have to worry about that. You just run your stuff. And I felt like with Hunter sometimes, as good as he was, don't get me wrong, he, as a play caller, he went, I kind of need to give it to Hunter here and need to get him involved. Now you're by committee, I think, and you got different backs that you can roll in there all the time. Darrell Robinson comes in as your heavy puncher. I like that dynamic just for the play calling standpoint.
Wide receiver is going to be a big position that we're going to be tracking over the next 48 hours. Eric Singleton, the number 1 player in the transfer portal, number 1 wide receiver, easily from Georgia Tech. Got a couple of years left. High price tag. Everybody's after him. Auburn, Miami, Texas, Ole Miss. Seemed like there was one other.
Yeah, he had a top 5. It was Auburn, Miami, Ole Miss, Texas, LSU.
Yeah.
Georgia. No, LSU. I'm sorry.
LSU, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got him trending up. I still feel that way as of Tuesday night. I expect, or at least people close to it, the situation expect a decision on Thursday. CJ Daniels, another guy, I kind of feel like Auburn's in a good position for. And then Horatio Fields is leaving his visit to Auburn on Wednesday. And I think he'll make a decision between Auburn and Kentucky probably Thursday or Friday. Maybe I just don't know what I don't know if Auburn would take Horatio Fields before they know what's going down with C.J. Daniels and Eric Singleton.
And you're probably really close on a decision from CJ as well, I would think.
Yeah.
I think you're right there on top of it.
All three of these guys are kind of on the same timeline. C.J. Daniels, him and Eric Singleton, they visited Auburn together, if I'm not mistaken. They left Auburn and went to Ole Miss.
Yes.
And they left Ole Miss and went to Miami. Yes.
They were close. Eric was a little bit before CJ, but
I think they were a day behind, maybe.
Do y'all think if Auburn were to get Singleton and Daniels, they call it a day at receiver? Do you think we'll get another one? 3? Are we thinking 3?
No, not. I think it becomes a numbers game at that point because of your young guys, does somebody get impatient if you start to think that you're being recruited over? And I think there's a delicate balance that you have to find in transfer portal recruiting and retaining your roster. So my guess is they stop with 2 if they feel like they need a third, unless it's a game changer, right? I mean, look,
Sure.
If somebody jumps into the portal that you just cannot turn down, well, of course, at that point. But to take another guy, no, probably not. I think if you feel like you need that, you'll go get it in the spring portal. You'll probably evaluate, sit back, and then similar to what you did this past spring, you'll go grab another guy.
Now, I think with Horatio Fields, when he hit the portal and Auburn quickly looked at him and decided he is absolutely worth getting on campus and talking to and recruiting and seeing where we're at with him. And I think they're glad they did because now he's going to take a visit to South Carolina. I think he's got a couple other visits set up.
Who's this?
Horatio Fields.
He's done. He's done. It's either Auburn or Kentucky.
Okay. No Duke. And that was who the current projection is too right now.
He wants to play in the SEC. He eliminated them.
Good deal.
Auburn or Kentucky.
Again, South Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, these were the teams that jumped in on him. Auburn was like, listen, we're not going to not get him on a visit and mess around in case we decide that we would need him. Get him in. He scheduled his visit for Wednesday, Thursday, whenever it is. They didn't wait. So do they take 3? They're visiting more than 2.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting balance, like you said, and I do think they like Horatio Fields. Put it that way.
I'm going to be honest with you. As far as what I've looked at, and it's different, okay, because CJ did play in the SEC, but what I see on tape, I like Horatio Fields better. I'm going to be completely honest. You specifically in this offense. Now, you give CJ the edge because he's played in this offense before, probably. So
Sure.
he knows the expectation. I love the big body on the outside. I mean, he almost overpowers smaller defensive backs at times on 50-50 balls. I just think he'd be a really good fit on the outside in this offense and like him better, personally.
I'm not putting it past Auburn to take all 3.
Okay.
I'm not putting it past Auburn to take Horatio Fields before they know what C.J. Daniels is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That goes back to bird in the hand, right?
Yes, and
does.
maybe we're just thinking that C.J. Daniels, because he came in for a visit first, and it looked like Horatio Fields was kind of like, hey, we'll bring him in later, and if we still need him, we'll make that decision. But I really think like Auburn's high on him and would not put it past them to go ahead and take him if he wants to commit on Wednesday or Thursday. I really wouldn't. Tight ends has been a huge position to me this offseason. We've seen Kamari Anderson visit. We've seen Cody Hardy visit. Preston Howard is a new guy we put on the board earlier this week. He's coming in from Maryland. He'll be in Auburn on Friday for a visit. Cody Hardy just finished up his Mississippi State visit, so he's from what I'm told, he had originally planned to go to Alabama after Mississippi State. That visit no longer will happen. So, and we talked about the needs at tight end. You want a more athletic guy, Rivaldo. You want an inline guy like Luke Dill. And Kamari Anderson and Cody Hardy are the blueprint for what you're looking for.
I haven't looked into Preston Howard much, but he does have some production. I think, I don't remember, a couple 100 yards receiving, maybe a touchdown or 2, something like that. So he's got a little – if you're looking for production, like you've mentioned before, Alan, I think Preston Howard's your best bet of the guys they brought in so far. Of course, Cody Hardy's different. I mean, his production comes from the tape and not the numbers. He's got the blocking ability, and he loves
Yes.
blocking. And I think he's mentioned before, like I just want to be inline tight end, knock people on the ground, right, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Got to have those guys.
Heck
Got to
yeah.
have somebody that wants to trade paint, mix it up, has that toughness about him, right? Like I think there were times, and I'm not calling anybody soft, but Auburn lacked some toughness, like that dude on the field that wanted to like trade paint, man, and get into it.
Yeah.
Cody Hardy reminds me of that kind of guy.
Trade paint. I like it.
I like it. So we'll see. I think we'll know a little bit more about tight ends because I think all three of these guys, Preston Howard, listen, it's decision time for these guys. For the guys who went in last week, who have taken their visits, they're ready to get it over with. We're going to be keeping a close eye on the tight ends, wide receivers, and then, of course, we know about the offensive guard, the interior guys. Josh Thompson has come in for a visit. Wendell Moe has come in for a visit. Waiting to see what happens with those guys. We think both of them could be on the verge of making their decisions. Wendell Moe, I was told today, Pete Nakos put in a pick for Wendell Moe to Tennessee. It's Auburn or Tennessee for him. Josh Thompson, man, Cole, what are you hearing on him? Anything?
So I heard he took his visit to Ohio State. No decision from him yet, so that's maybe good for Auburn the longer it drags, I guess, since they were the first visit. I don't know if I'm not hearing that he's projected to Ohio State, though. I still feel like Auburn's, I thought of the three, which was after Auburn landed Chaplin, the three were Josh Thompson, Wendell Moe, and Mason Murphy. I felt like two out of the three was really possible, and I still feel that way. I feel like the odd man out right now is Wendell Moe because Tennessee seems to be trending some there. I think no news might be good news on Josh Thompson. It seems like Auburn, when that visit was over, felt really good about their chances, even though he was going to see Ohio State. Maybe another one in between there that I can't remember. But
yeah, I can't remember either.
I think Auburn's in a good spot with him. It's hard, man, to get a read on these guys because they're making their decisions so quick. He should have a decision in the next few days. I don't think he drags it out too much longer.
Yeah.
He had a series of visits he was going to take because he went to Auburn, then Ohio State, then Tennessee. And I think he's got Michigan and South Carolina, I believe, to take as well. And I'm not quite sure where he is on that arc, if he's been able to take either of those two. Of those, Michigan probably scares me the most because that's where he's from. But
he went to Michigan State before Auburn.
Yes, went to Michigan State before Auburn. So maybe it's Tennessee, South Carolina, and Michigan this week. Maybe that's what it is.
I've been to Michigan State, plan on taking a visit to Ohio State. Then I'll take a couple more trips down south to SEC schools, which I'll just mention, then go from there. I thought it was interesting. He's got family in the Birmingham and Mobile area.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
His aunt lives in Pelham and Mobile, and so he's familiar with what's going on.
Now, I tell you what, of the offensive linemen, once you get beyond Xavier Chaplin, and again, massive pickup because it just allowed you to reshuffle your entire offensive line. Josh Thompson is probably my favorite of those that they've had on campus.
I agree. I like Josh Thompson.
Love him. Power in the hole, the ability to move people, can climb to the second level. I mean, I think he's a natural guard. I know he can moonlight at right tackle, but to me, I thought there were times while Dylan Wade's size projects best to guard, right? I mean, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. His feet, to me, and sometimes at the point of attack, I felt like when bigger defensive tackles got on him, he wasn't accustomed to that. I felt like he featured better on the outside. And I think if you can move him to right tackle and play Josh Thompson inside with Jeremiah Wright, that gives Auburn the best opportunity to have a really good offensive line or above average offensive line this time next year. And just if you're above average with the weapons you've got on the outside, you got an opportunity to play against a light box, and they can really run the football if that happens.
Well, Alan, who in your opinion has been the most valuable offensive lineman for Auburn the last 2 years, just in terms of value and where you can use them?
It's Dylan Wade, and there's really not much question, right?
It's because he's a swing guy, right?
Yeah.
It's just so valuable on the offensive line. Hey, if we need you at guard, we got you at guard. We need you at tackle, we can get you there. This is exactly what Josh Thompson is. He is very important, I think. Highly important.
I agree.
Kind of the mystery position.
No doubt.
has been the defensive line, the interior defensive line. Auburn, we believe, wants at least two guys inside there. Now, I don't think they're going to be rushed here. They've brought in Dallas Walker, the defensive tackle, formerly from A&M. Now he's at Western Kentucky. Brought him in for a visit. It sounds good for Auburn. James Thompson, he claimed an Auburn offer early in the portal. I don't know where that's going. I haven't heard anything from him as far as Auburn interest. He's made some other visits. So right now it looks like Dallas Walker, they brought in for a visit, and I think they'll wait.
I was going to say, I got a theory here, but I want to hear Cole first.
Well, I mean, look at what they did last year. The two most valuable guys they picked up were in the
Right.
second window, Isaiah Rakes and Philip Bleedy. They didn't get those in the first window. They got them in the second window, if I remember correctly. And those guys were good for Auburn. They did what you need them to do. And it's kind of like the Deuce thing you were talking about earlier. You got all these early enrollee freshman D linemen coming in, a really strong class. Throw them into the fire in the spring, get them ready to roll. Now you bring in some veterans in that second window. Maybe somebody hits this window that they feel is worthy.
Right.
But I think they'll take their time because they know they got another window. That's how it worked out last year. Seems to be a good plan. And get those freshmen rolling early and often.
Cole, you go ahead. I'm sorry, Jeffrey.
Well, I was, Cole's bird in the hand, obviously, but is the bird in the hand right now? Is Dallas Walker the bird you want in your hand, or do you think you can get one better? Because even if you don't, is he not replaceable? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, we might not be able to find another Dallas Walker. I think you can find another Dallas Walker.
Well, if you're talking talent wise, I mean, I would take Jordan Crawford over him probably.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But, this is not a flashy position that knows. You don't need stats. You need somebody that plugs. And is he good enough to do that for 10 to 15 snaps a game? If so, take him. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's also something to a guy that's been in college for that long, knows the system. So he played at A&M. He was with DJ for 1 year, I believe. Being able to prepare like a pro, practice like a pro, carry yourself like a pro. There's something to having a vet that knows and understands expectation. But Cole, you dovetail perfectly into my theory, and that is, okay, you take a guy like Dallas Walker, so you take one. But if you look at the defensive tackle market, there's really a lot of meh right now. And so why not go through spring and get your young guys all the reps they need, see what they're going to be able to do. Because maybe you're able to leverage what you have on the team right now. Like when the vets come in spring, you can say, look, man, I got these guys and I don't necessarily have to have you. So are you in or are you out? It works two ways, and you have to be able to be very strategic here when it comes specifically at the prices you have to pay getting kids out of the portal. You got to be prepared. So knowing what you have on your roster, I think only strengthens your position when it pertains to negotiations. So it's not a bad thing by any means.
With all that said, I would still put Dallas Walker in my mock class if I were to make one. Yeah. Same with going into the edge position. Clev Lubin, the pass rusher from Coastal Carolina who visited late last week, I think last Thursday, and he is going to wait and make his decision early next week. He wants to do a Christmas thing. He's in Minnesota Tuesday night for his visit, and I think he was eyeing a Louisville visit.
Yeah.
As well before he makes a decision. You got to feel like if Auburn wants the guy, and I can't imagine why they wouldn't, that they would be able to top Minnesota and Louisville if all things equal. Right?
Yes.
If Minnesota's highly prioritizing him much more than Auburn is, the NIL package is going to be significantly more. Same with Louisville. But all things equal, you got to like Auburn's chances of adding Lubin to the class next week.
Yes, I do. Louisville's probably the one I'm most paying attention to. I think they've got a pretty healthy NIL situation there. And so where do they put him on the board? And then what are Clev's, what's he looking for? Is he looking for NFL development? Because you can show him exactly what you were able to do with a guy that's very similar to him. I don't know who Louisville had on their defense that you could comp him to, but I just think a lot of what they were able to accomplish with a very similar player last year, and I think that holds weight with him. because he's a guy you're talking about a guy that went to Army, right? Isn't that where he started?
Yeah, he did. He was actually at the Army-Navy game the other day because he started at Army. I think he might have gone to like a military school. Yeah, U.S. Military Academy Prep in Suffern, New York. So he's a military background guy, Allen. Army. Then he went to Coastal, where he showed out, 9.5 sacks. I actually think he's kind of a swing between. I think he's almost like an Amaris Williams, where, which by the way, huge news getting him back.
Yes.
Where he's a buck, talent, skill set, and also can play with a hand on the ground if he needed to. I think he's got that versatility. And by the way, you asked, what's he looking for? Well, he told us. He said, I felt like exactly why I put my name in the portal was because looking at Auburn's situation where they brought in 2 Sunbelt guys who have upped their game, Kieran Crawford and Jalen McLeod. He pointed to that and said, yeah, I want to be like that.
There you go. So you're looking at the development piece. And again, guys that go to military academies, they're wired a little bit different, okay? NIL might not be at the top of their list. Now, I'm not telling you the kid's turning down money. I'm just saying it might not be the end-all, be-all as it pertains to making a decision.
Got some news on the linebacker movement on the linebacker position on Tuesday. Phoenix Jackson, who tried like hell to commit to Auburn last week, ended up committing to Baylor on Tuesday, which seems to be good news for Auburn in their efforts in bringing in Xavier Atkins. Xavier Atkins is in Auburn until Wednesday morning. He's a former 4-star recruit, a really highly touted high school guy. He was top 25 linebacker on 3. Rivals loved him, top 250, top 300. He is a DJ Durkin guy. He was involved with A&M when DJ Durkin was there. So you got to feel like Auburn was putting Phoenix Jackson on hold to see how things went with Xavier Atkins, and Atkins got on campus Tuesday midday, and it wasn't long after that Phoenix Jackson committed to Baylor.
Which I found interesting because Phoenix Jackson's got pretty good tape, man. He ain't no slouch,
right?
I haven't, Xavier Atkins. I don't know. He didn't record a lot of stats at LSU. I don't know how much he really played. I don't think a lot in his first year there.
And what little he did, he scored poorly. But I mean, the PFF dude, people put way too much stock in that.
I think PFF is a good reference. It definitely tells you, did the guy have a good game or not? I don't think every little detail is perfect. Go and do your own homework on that. But this is where, Alan, you talked about being a little bit worried when you start going prospective instead of, production.
Yeah, potential over production, right?
Potential, yeah. And Atkins is potential. That's what this is right here. Because we just don't know.
I like this play, though. I'm going to be honest with you. When I put on his high school cut-ups and I took a look back, I mean, he reminds me of a guy like Zacoby McClain. He will absolutely hit you. He's smaller, right? He's more compact, but a guy that has sideline to sideline capability, really good speed, can run the pole in cover 2. I think he gives you some versatility. If you're looking for that dime linebacker, and we've talked about this, now he's a younger version, okay? But maybe DJ Durkin is saying, you know what, I'm just going to go with the more talented guy at this point. Veteran leadership be damned. I know what I have in this room. I feel familiarity. I'm good with it. And I'm going to go with a guy that I think brings the most upside, and I'm just going to live through the growing pains. So
same with Dallas Walker's how I feel. DJ Durkin knows these guys. He recruited these guys in high school. He evaluated these guys in high school. He really doesn't give a crap what has happened to this point as far as college stats and PFF grades. He knows what these guys are capable of. He's done his own evals.
And we have no reason to doubt his evals yet.
No. No. I will. He's a guy you trust. Had some big corner news today. Cole, you want to talk more about Strader? He signed with Auburn on Tuesday. I think he double dipped or on Monday. Like there were 2. It was him and Tay Seymour.
Yes,
at the same time. I mean, they within 5 minutes of each other, they signed with Auburn. So Rayon Strader maybe fell under the radar just a touch, but I'm telling you, man, what
Let me
film
pull up his accolades.
yeah, his stats are fantastic. The amount of pass breakups he has, and you see him on film too. I mean, he's just has a knack for getting in the passing lane, and it's the length, man. He's almost got that Carlton Davis like length going on. Got those long arms. He's always disrupting the ball. When it arrives to the receiver, he's always in good position.
His first 2 seasons, Cole, 110 tackles.
Yeah,
110. He's a cornerback.
he's just real active.
He had 40 solos as a sophomore, a team high 17 PBUs and 2 picks.
The best thing for me, you can always look at a highlight tape and see what the skill set looks like, but you got to go to the game, find the full game, watch every snap. Takes a while, but you'll learn a lot about a guy. He's constantly around the football, constantly. And when the ball's in the air and when he gets targeted, he's in good position. And he's got the length to make plays on the ball at every angle. It doesn't matter. He can play it. So I love that. I think you put him on the boundary.
Yeah.
I think he's a lot like Jay Crawford. Similar skill sets there. I think it'd be tough to get a pass connected with those two covering you right on the boundary.
Well, and I think he's a guy that gives you enough versatility. You can play him at the field or the boundary, right? I don't think he's locked into either one, even though his skill set, I'm with you, probably falls more in line with the boundary. But when you think about the rotation or lack thereof at corner down the stretch, this is a guy that just adds so much. We talked about kind of how it seemed like towards the end, they were a little lethargic. In that Alabama game, I just didn't feel like our corners had the same pop that they did early on.
I agree.
So this is a guy you can split snaps, or maybe he's the starter. Maybe this is a situation where Jay Crawford or Kayan Lee takes a back seat to him. I don't know. But I love the fact that he brings competition to the room. It's only going to make everybody better. And I'm with Jeffrey. I mean, I think this kid is slept on. He's a quality 2 deep, if not starter in the SEC, and you got to like the experience. A guy, again, 23 out of 24 games, and then you look at the accolades, the hips, he can flip them and run. It's not like he's a statue back there. And the length, that's a big thing with corner for me. If you have good length, that means you can break things up. You can get into passing lanes. It just presents all kinds of challenges for wide receivers.
Well, you saw what Jay Crawford was able to do as opposed to, and no shot at Kayan Lee. He's an elite athlete, but in coverage, when they're playing the ball, Jay Crawford had a lot more success in that area because of his length, because he played through the ball and he has the capability to do that. I think you're getting the same kind of deal here with Strader.
Got some safety news on Monday and Tuesday. Tay Seymour committed and subsequently signed with Auburn, the former teammate and close friend of Eric Singleton at Georgia Tech. He is in. He signed, committed on Monday. He actually signed, but Auburn announced his signing on Tuesday. And then Zechariah Poyser, who Auburn brought in for a visit late last week, he signed with Miami, which was not really a big surprise. Florida, Miami were I checked into that early Tuesday, and that's what I was getting back. And he had signed with Miami. I think he was going to wait until Wednesday to announce his decision, but he went ahead and did it. So he's off the board. But which means Auburn likely takes one safety, Tay Seymour, and unless somebody just comes on that you just can't turn down.
Yeah. Tay Seymour probably fits in the Colby Wooden role that he had, where if you go 3 safeties, he's the middle guy. He's free, not going to be manned up. It's not really his game. He's more of a zone guy, floating around, roaming, coming down in the box. Definitely really good at run support. Somebody said Daniel Thomas. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see some Daniel Thomas there. Yeah, if you get the production that you had with Daniel Thomas, hey, watch out. That'll work, right? But built kind of like Daniel Thomas, that more stocky build safety, and he's really, really good at open field tackling. So,
and another vet, right? Somebody to compete with Sylvester Smith. I mean, I think we all know how everybody on this panel feels about Fegans coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a day one guy, in my opinion. And you talk about a guy that can be manned up, that's him.
Okay.
So I think for me, Tay Seymour is a luxury. He's a vet that you bring into that locker room. He's not going to create a distraction. He's played P4 football, had, 45 tackles last year?
He had a lot of tackles, yeah.
Yeah, 20 plus of those were solo, and he had several assists as well. So I think it was around 45 or 43 tackles. So production, right? Again, a guy. Now, his PFF grade when it comes to tackling, sometimes in certain situations, he'll lose focus. He'll have some eye discipline issues, things like that. But there's not a better safety coach in the country, in my opinion, than Charles Kelly. And I'm not trying to be a homer here. You talk about bona fides, he's got them, okay? He's got skins on the wall that he can absolutely show you as far as what he's been capable of coaching up. So if you're going to get the max out of Tay Seymour, Charles Kelly can absolutely do it. And I think he's a value pickup, right? Again, you talk about you lose a veteran safety out of that room in Caleb Wooden. You pick up another veteran safety to help two of your young guys coming in, and Eric Winters and Quan Fegans. Not a bad switch at all.
I like it, man. I like the 1 year of eligibility. Or is it 2?
He's got 2. I think he's got 2, but look, they're on 6-month contracts right now anyway. Let's be honest.
He does have 2 years, yep.
I mean, those dudes leave when they're ready, or, maybe Auburn makes a decision that they leave.
Very true.
It's a very different game right now than the one that we all grew up cheering for.
So lots going on over the next few days. Going to expect decisions. The only other visit we know of coming up is Preston Howard on Friday. Cole, you reported or saw that, what was his name? The kicker came in from Southern Miss.
Yes. His name, I'll tell you.
Gibbons or something?
Gibson.
Connor Gibbs.
Connor Gibbs.
Connor Gibbs.
He came in for a visit. Something to keep an eye on there, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like probably a PWO deal if he were to take it. I think maybe he does have some offer opportunities at other schools. I'm not entirely sure. I need to look more into him, but had a long field goal of 59.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I think he was like,
well, let's see. I got it right here. I can tell
he hit 3 of 50 plus with a long of 59, and I think he was 9 of 12 on the season. So only 10 of 13. I'm sorry. So only 3 missed field goals. And if you're Auburn, if he'll come on as a preferred walk-on, which we know is the kind of the NIL/rev share deal where they pay for his scholarship that way. But Towns Magoo, while I think he's exceptionally talented, the performance on the field was not where you want it to be. So if you want to create some more competition in that room, I'm all for it. I mean, especially with a kid that hit a 59-yarder in live game action.
Yeah, I think it was in a pretty tense situation too when he hit that field goal. It was against South Alabama, and I don't know what the score was, but he did miss 3 extra points. Interesting.
Wow.
7 of 10 on extra points. He was 10 of 13 on just kicks. But one of my how about yous tonight goes to a guy who actually watched Southern Miss a lot and a Southern Miss alum, whose name happens to be Cameron Jarrell Newton. He said that they had a porous offensive line of protection, and a couple of those got blocked.
Okay. That makes me feel better than just missing wide right or pulling it left, you know?
I don't think he did that.
Yeah, on an extra point.
I could kick an extra point.
Dude, I would love for all of us to go out there and try to kick extra points to see who wins that one.
He said the extra point misses were blocks or mishandled snaps and holds.
Okay. Good to know. I mean, that makes a lot more sense for a guy who's 10 of 13 from field goals. And his
Big Sexy said, look, this is no problem. You put Towns Magoo out there for extra points. Anything from 20 to 35 yards, you put Vashon out there, and then anything long, put this guy out there, and you got it.
It's that easy. Speaking of how about you? Hey, so anyways, we're going to be watching for commitments, announcements all coming up in the next 2 or 3 days. I think there's going to be a lot. Some will go to Auburn. I'm sure some will not. But we're going to be checking it all at Auburn Live on 3. Speaking of how about you? I got 2.
I got 4. You already heard one of mine.
Okay. What was that one called?
It's Cameron Jarrell Newton. I think it's Jarrell or Gerald Newton, however he says his middle name. It's all one.
Jarrell.
Cameron Jarrell Newton. That's all one word. That's
okay.
Apparently he went to Southern Miss. Cameron did. So
okay.
He's one of mine. Smitty J, just consistent power. on the corner and on the call-in show, Smitty J, Anthony from Montgomery. How about you to him?
Okay.
I got.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just started going, man. I guess I'll just
No, keep going. You got two more.
SC 979.
SC 979.
We got one of them cryptic threads on the board. You know, I know something, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Sure.
He said, nothing gets me hyped up like a cryptic nothing burger of a post with no details.
I'm
Give
with
me
you,
more,
SC.
baby.
I'm with you, big dog.
And then my guy, Griff W55, he said, this is my first and last post on the corner. He made a great point. You can't be your last, Griff.
What was his name?
Griff W55.
Okay. Come back, Griff W. All right, Alan, what you got, big dog?
I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction. I'm going to how about you some guys from the Auburn scouting department, because I felt like they've done a phenomenal job, on their portal strategy this time around. I mean, we all know Will Redmond. He's the GM. He oversees it all. But guys like Grant Miller, A.K. Magula, Aaron Petard, T.J. Randall, they don't get enough love for some of the hard work they put in. You know, I was listening to a podcast today that's also in this same space, right? And they were just kind of giving Will all the credit. And while he deserves it, right, this is his strategy. He oversees it. He's not the guy sitting there grinding, watching tape every day. It's these guys that are sitting there in a dungeon, locked away, you know what I mean, trying to make sure the best evaluation they possibly can. So wanted to show some love to them. And then Knight Rider gets one from me. And then D Newt 123 or D New, I'm sorry.
How you spell that?
It is D Newt. I'm sorry. DNEWT 123.
Okay.
And last but not least, War Eagle GSU.
Oh, he's been good. He's been real good.
Breaking news here. TJ Randall has retired.
Get out of here.
I saw him off yesterday.
He has.
Fantastic young fellow.
Okay.
Let me tell you, TJ Randall was fantastic. It's just that life, dude, is not for everybody. It's certainly not for me. He's got a young family trying to get going, and he might be in the scouting department. I think Christian was talking to him about getting on with 24/7. He'll be fantastic at that.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. That would be a smooth transition there.
He's a fantastic follow on Twitter, too, if y'all go look him up, TJ Randall. Very good. I love me some TJ Randall. Fantastic young fellow.
Very good evaluator as well.
Let's see. I got two how about yous. I got Abraham Lincoln and Eye of the Tiger for their post. I can't remember what thread it was. I think it was one of mine. But they were going back and forth. Do you remember when that British guy got arrested and sit down for a succulent Chinese meal? It was Manifest, Destiny Manifest or something. And they were going back and forth, made me laugh. Abraham Lincoln times two, because he had two of them in that post, and Eye of the Tiger for keeping him going. How about you, big dogs?
Nice.
All right, that's going to do it, folks. Stay locked into Auburn Live on 3. We're going to be covering all of the transfer portal additions and subtractions. We will do our best to keep them all to you on the corner of the Auburn Life message board. If you haven't, go check us out. Don't forget about HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com/free Auburn Live. That's free Auburn Live, all lowercase, one word. Applied across 7 boxes. You get 10 free meals at HelloFresh. New subscribers only, varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/free Auburn Live. All right, folks, that's going to do it. We appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. For Cole, for Alan Head, for Zach in the back, who stayed in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay at that left lane. See you.